Hi, book club members. I'm Jen.
And I'm Carrie.
And this is Warhammer 40k Book Club, where we read from a crag. This is episode number 139, and our book is Daemonhammer by Darius Hinks. It tells the adventures of Inquisitor Kodaz as he searches for a magical McGuffin on a planet that's having some problems. We posted several questions on our website, WH40bookclub.com, and we encourage participation in our conversations via YouTube, our site, or Encrypted Vox channel. Spoiler warning, if you haven't yet checked out the book, definitely check it out and then come back to listen to this episode, as we're going to be discussing the book from start to finish in great detail. With that, let's dive in. As always, Carrie, did you like the book?
I really did. I had a good time with it. Of course, half of it I think is because the narrator was so good on the audiobook, but no, I really enjoyed this book.
Pretty mid on this book. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. To use my favorite, to probably poorly quote my favorite quote from Ghostbusters 2, it's nice. Very nice. Short, but pointless. That's how I felt at the end. It wasn't bad.
I don't think it was pointless.
It didn't engage me that much. What part stood out to you?
Oh man. Aside from the adept vomiting maggots where I was dry heaving in my car.
Wait, I'm sorry. That you didn't. I'm sorry. I got all my dry heaving out when Elias was talking about the thing that wriggled out of his eye, and he was happy about it. I was like, oh! So by the time we got to the guy vomiting up the maggots, I was like, fooled me once.
Yeah. See, honestly, because all I could think of was it in your mouth, and it just. I'm gonna throw up now thinking about it. Yeah.
I will say this right now.
Stuff like textures in my mouth and taste affect me far more than anything else.
Oh, no, sorry, now I have to squint because the thought of it. I will give Darius Hinks this. This is one of the grossest books we have read probably since David Annandale's Deacon of Wounds.
Oh, that's true.
David Annandale delights in the disgusting descriptions, right? He is a true horror author at his heart. And so I feel like his descriptions are always really the gnarliest. And this was giving him a run for his money.
Yeah.
Nurgle.
Yeah, Nurgle's just gross, man.
Nurgle's so gross. Things that stood out to me that I really liked vis-a-vis Nurgle. One is the one that I like how when Elias's confidence is talking to him, it's amused. Like he talks about how it's jovial, but kind of amused, like it's in on a joke that he's not, because it is.
Right.
And then at the end, he's like, "Oh, it's not amused or jovial anymore. It's sneering." And I like how it just changes like that.
Well, right.
Oh, I don't need you anymore.
But it's almost also, it was like, not just that, but because the demon was out of him, it's like the rose-colored glasses went off, because suddenly he sees what it actually is. He sees his wife, what's left of her. He sees what his friends have become. He's like, crap, this is not any of it at all. And actually with that scene was honestly one of the quotes I wrote down, where he's just in despair. He's like, the galaxy was filled with tyrants and despots on one hand, while on the other was only madness and ruin. I mean, it's true. It's
Find me a better description of Warhammer 40k.
That's exactly what it is. It's something we actually even talked about way back in Spear of the Emperor, right? Just chaos is nuts. It's only slightly worse than what you got over with the Emperor. I mean, it's
the Imperium is this cold, brutal, fascist, uncaring machine because it's dealing with that on the other side, right? So that's, I mean, we'll talk more about Elias later, but you have this soul crushing existence on Crimson Peak.
I mean,
Or
it was just, oh my
or
God.
you can be in this. Okay, first off, the fact that Darius Hinks used the word gloopy not once but twice. I cannot think of what the name of it is called, but in Japan there is that it's those fermented soybeans or red beans, I think it is, that smells so bad, and they're like stringy because they're almost literally rotten, but they're eaten, I think, in the southern part of Japan. They sell them at H Mart, and they have like tasters of them sometime, and just gloopy, gloopy. They string.
Yes.
That's why I keep doing this gesture. They like, nah. Anyways. So disgusting.
That's just, I
what
mean,
else stood out to you?
there you go. That means got a plague harvest. Everything is going to be disgusting. Like even when Glycon was transforming into that, basically the poop demon.
Nato is what it's called. I had to look it up because I wasn't going to remember.
I was actually thinking, I was like, is it Nato? But I don't want to say
it's
that.
It's Nato.
I didn't want to say that in case I was wrong.
Oh yeah, it's Nato.
Yeah, because it's like a red bean paste, I think.
It's soybeans.
But you said it's red. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fermented soybeans, and the picture of them, they're stringy. Anyways, we gotta close that. It's one of those few things where it's like the taste, the sound, the texture. So when he was talking about Galoopy, I was like, Nato. The world should not be like Nato.
Nato or maybe poi.
Oh, I like poi though.
So one gloopy's not good, but the other gloopy's just fine.
Well, when it's made right, it's more like starchy pudding.
I think pudding is gloopy.
Well,
I like pudding, but I think it's gloopy.
To me, like gloopy has like a stringy, like bumpy, like inconsistent texture. I don't know. Like I picture like bad cheese sauce. It's gloopy. I guess pudding could be gloopy. I guess, yeah. I think you're. Well, that kind of ruined that for a hot minute.
Can you make funny noises with pudding? Yes, it's gloopy.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Let us move away from a disgusting topic and go to Kodaz himself, shall we? Was he a good Inquisitor or a bad Inquisitor?
He was a good Inquisitor, but he's a terrible mentor.
He is not a great judge of character, is he?
I don't know about judge of character, but I think he's just not good at teaching.
That's not everybody can teach, right? Like
because he's so, I don't know. I guess, what happened with Loridian, just he doesn't trust anybody. That's the thing. Who does he trust? Let's see. The general that he hollowed out to a combat servitor, the sanctioned psyker.
And even then, you get the impression that he trusts her to a point.
Well, right. I mean, no, I think
he always has an eye on her.
He does trust her, but he also knows that, she could just be a ticking time bomb at any second.
He trusts his Cyber Eagle, who was badass.
Yeah, I mean, he does trust the Cyber Eagle fully. Of course, if I had a Cyber Eagle, I would trust it too. He trusts Malevich.
Oh, all subordinates.
And also, I forget his name, but Sasmonius, basically his, almost an advisor.
Right.
He's there in the very beginning and I think at the end, but yeah, so that's the thing. Like he just has these trust issues and he almost kind of reminds me of the Lion when it comes to these trust issues, where he's just like, you just do what I say and you don't ask. You just have to trust that I have everything in hand. Just do what I tell you to do and everything's going to be good. I mean, I did like when Tersifel was telling Voltas that he values loyalty above everything else. And so he didn't really trust Voltas as much because Voltas was so smart. He was like, how loyal is he going to be? And that ended up kind of being Voltaz's, he kind of undid Voltas in that way, you know. So when Sato was like, you set up your proteges to fail, there's most likely a lot of truth in that. Now, I don't think that Sato was a good person. So I don't think he really set her up to fail. I think he had more faith in her than he did Voltas. But I think she also burned him so badly. He's having trouble trusting Voltas. And he even says at one point when he's talking with his advisor, he says like, maybe Voltas has outlived his usefulness because he didn't approach him in a way that he needed him to. And instead of talking to him, you know, like the lion, let's not talk. Let's just expect them to know exactly what I need from them at all times.
Right. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. The first thing is we're going to talk more about Voltas and Sato in a second, because again, a lot to unpack there. But I think, so that's a good point, is in the beginning when Voltas, being smart and clever, I don't know if I would call him smart. He was definitely clever, right? He immediately starts picking up and picks up this thread of what he could be looking for, what Kodaz could be looking for on the planet. And he finally goes down this path. And then he's like, aha, I figured out what you were looking for. When Kodaz is like, I think he's kind of outlived his usefulness. Then why in God's name did you bring him to the planet? Why? If you
but
leave him on the ship.
But he told the advisor why. He said outright, he was like, this way I can see like where his loyalties actually lie.
Yes, but I guess it goes down to the whole point of them being Inquisitors and just not caring, right? Worst case, we get down there, I discover that he's not loyal, and I have to kill him. Like, whatever. I just, the whole thing of like, but because he could have, okay, I understand that you want to test his loyalty, but he could have been detrimental to your cause too. It just seemed a risk to take that I was like, that's a hell of a gamble.
Yeah, but I think that goes back to Kodaz. He wants to trust. He just wants to love again.
Does?
Yeah, I think he does.
Is he a bad judge of character though? So like, let's look at Voltas. Voltas in general, throughout the book, at least the impression that I got of him was that, yeah, he's clever. Maybe a little too clever, maybe a little too eager to prove himself. When he reflects back on his time at home when he's talking with his mom, and he's just like, oh yeah, you know, I failed at this and I failed at that, and maybe this will be the thing, right? And there's a way that he words the fact that like, this is why he had to kill the rest of the royal family, right? To prove loyalty or something like that. And was he a good person?
I felt bad for Voltas. He reminded me a lot of Carl Thonius from Ravender. And I liked him a lot too.
Really good comparison, actually.
Especially like down when they got to like how he was dressed. I was like, oh my gosh. And then how clever he is. I was like, oh, the things you know, Carl. That's all I could think of. And Carl was done wrong. He was done so wrong. He was a very good interrogator, and
up until he had a demon in him.
Well, yeah.
Up until that point, he was really good.
Well, I mean, he had little PTSD, and instead of like working on it, he turned to, you know, the
drugs.
What was that?
Flecked.
I was like, the fleck, the look. No, it was called giving it a look. That's right. And then a demon was like, ha ha.
I like your style.
Yes. And then, you know, Carl ended up being the hero in the end, telling basically Ravender how to defeat this demon that he had become. And I was kind of hoping Voltas would have I was hoping he wouldn't go that similar route. I was like, don't set it up this way. Don't set him up where he's gonna betray, because come on, like that's it. I felt like it was such an obvious setup. So I was really disappointed when he did, but at the same time I understood why he did in a way, because of his ambition and because he was so afraid and because of like Tersifal talking about loyalty, and he knows what a zealot Kodaz is. He has to be, practically perfect in every way. Otherwise, there's no use for him. But I was really, really hoping he was going to overcome it in the end. Because I feel like
I kind of was too. I didn't like his character, but I was rooting for him, if that makes sense.
yeah, like when he, spurned the vision of Loredian, he's like, nope, I'm done. Like,
Although, can we be real for a second? The vision of Loredian pretty much hits the nail on the head, right? Where he talks about when he's like, well, I mentored him, that knowledge was power, but I think he took the wrong lesson from it. Like, he now hoards all of this information and he doesn't share it, and he didn't understand what I was trying to teach him. For a minute there, I was like, oh, is this actually Loredian? Because that's pretty on the nose about him.
yes, but at the same time, I honestly wonder if like Sato hurt him so bad. He's like, because we don't know what she did. We just know that she betrayed his trust and shared information that she wasn't supposed to. In a way, I kind of like that we never knew exactly what happened. I think
I would agree with that.
I think it would diminish it too much if we knew exactly what it was, because either then we'd be like, oh wow, she's a terrible person, or that's it. So I really do like not knowing, but I think that's kind of where it came from, because obviously we know this is just playing on, this is, a Nurgling playing on Voltaz's own fears, because like he did go, hack that cogitator because Voltaz wasn't telling him anything. And he's like, well, I found this thing about Krasner. Why haven't you told me anything about it? So, because he even talked about how he had this need to know everything. I was like, so my first thought was, we're going to get some Zinch stuff up in here. Did not expect the Nurgle bingo card on that one. I was totally expecting Zinch.
Wow, it's like at the midway point or something like that when he mentions like living forever. I was like, oh no, this is Nurgle. Yucky. You know what I really do enjoy? Nurgle knows that he gnarly because like, look at this wonderful banquet and look how happy everyone looks and look how great everyone feels and look at the beautiful garden that you're tending. Like, what you're selling is not good.
Right.
It's a self-awareness that I'm like, huh. So, then.
Well, it's like I loved it when Kodaz and everybody burst into the room and saw the garden and they're all horrified. And Elias is like, you just hate everything that's beautiful. It's like, oh, pumpkin.
Oh, baby. That's not what it looks like when they're talking about his like girlfriend or wife when she's tending the tree. I was like, oh God, what is she tending? Because it's not a tree.
It's not a tree.
And she's like packing the dirt around the tree. I was like, probably dead flesh. Blah. Anyways, the thing with Voltus, I don't know. I felt like maybe that was a bad call from Kodaz, but you could be right. Maybe he was so burned by Sato that he was just looking for, or maybe it's because he knows that he's awesome. Like, I feel like maybe he's looking for himself, right? Like, he finds Sato and Sato is covered. She's, under all these dead bodies with all these rats and stuff. And she's just, right. But she's still loyal. And then same thing with Voltas, right? He finds him and he's at the head of this massacre because he was so loyal. And just like when he was found
Right.
and there's all these dead bodies and he was loyal. So like, I feel like he's really, I'm going to say this as arrogance, but I guess I mean it like in a goodish way. I feel like he's looking for himself. If that makes sense.
Hey man, if he had just told Voltas what he planned to do with the soul glass, because I also didn't have that on my bingo card either. If he had just told him.
Oh, That one I had kind of assumed. That was the one part of it that I was like, oh, he's going to destroy this. He doesn't want this for himself or anybody. Because it was the way that Voltus said it when he was just like, oh, you want to use it for yourself so you can put yourself in another body. Kodaz's reaction, I was like, yep, this is getting destroyed. This is Voltus has completely misread this situation. So I actually thought, now this is what I did not put together. I thought that he was going to kill Voltus because I actually thought Voltus was going to be like, you know what? I need it. And then, like, if Kodaz tried to destroy it, then Voltus was going to be like, nope, never mind. I'm going to yoink it. Like, I thought that's what the big conflict was going to be. We're going to talk more about the Soul Glass, though, because I want to talk about Sato first, though. Let's talk about Sato. First off, were you invested in her story?
No.
Did you like her?
No.
What did she do? This goes back to, okay. One of the questions that we often ask ourselves on this podcast is, what did those two Primarchs do to warrant the Emperor killing them, as opposed to, say, Conrad Curse or Angron or anything like that, right? I now have to ask myself, what did Sato do to betray him that he didn't, like, issue a warrant for her death? It was so bad. And yet, she gets picked up by another Inquisitor and made into an Inquisitor.
Well, he most likely didn't tell anybody what had happened because...
But that goes back to his character and how he hoards information, right? And it probably is really embarrassing.
Yes, I would think so.
Like,
especially if since according to Tersafel, she leaked information to other Inquisitors. So if that's really what happened, it's not really in his best interest, because then it looks like he's pouting, right?
True.
It's really
true and fair.
It's really up to him to take care of.
Yeah, that's true. Cleaning up his own mess. I feel though like he could have probably reached out to that other Inquisitor and just been like, "Yeah, so your protege."
But when when she said who it was, it sounded like they do not get along. So he would.
Well, yeah, after he killed his former mentor. That was Sato in general. I don't get good vibes off of her. And it's not just because she's flouncing the rules, right? Like the fact that she has these Xenos weapons,
right.
The fact that she's working with an abhuman. I'm actually fine with the abhuman part of it, believe it or not, because I really like Gore Halfhorn, and there's rumors that he worked with an Inquisitor. Like, look, needs must, right? And we tolerate the Ogrens all the time, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
Even though that one is a little too bloody. Like, she's like, it's eating people. Make it stop. I just feel like she's flouncing a little too much. I did not get up and up vibes from her, even though she claims maybe she's just a firebrand. Maybe she's just that person who's like, I'm totally loyal, but I'm also skating on. You know what? Maybe she and Eisenhorn would get along well.
I think she's just loyal to herself.
I kind of got that impression too. I really did not feel like she was. Well, that's not true. In the end, her immediate grasp of Kodaz.
She just said she's a survivor, and he's like, yes.
Right. She seems to care about the bigger picture, though.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm with you, though, that I really did like.
And yet we honestly have no idea why she was after the Soul Glass.
Not a thing. She's a little bit of a mystery, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
I am with you that I really liked that we don't know what the betrayal was, because you're 100% correct. I kept waiting for them to reveal, and I was so worried that I was going to be like, that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Like she wore white shoes after Labor Day or something?
That bitch.
Insert the clip from Serial Mom. Fashion doesn't change. Only Kathleen Turner could deliver that line.
Or she, hung up something with a wire hanger.
Clean up this mess. That scene is both one of the most overacted in like the entirety of serious Hollywood history, and just
the
cleanser everywhere. Oh my. Anyways, Faye Dunaway. Brilliant. It was one of my life goals to someday like write a revenge book because I got cut out of my famous mother's multi-million-dollar will. Anyways, my revenge fantasy book. Moving on. I was worried about that the whole time. I was like, oh, this is going to be something super lame. Or it's not going to make sense as to why she's not dead, or somebody else didn't catch wind of this. So I kind of like that mystery that he's just, and it fits his character.
Yeah.
That he even kind of keeps it hidden from us, the reader.
We don't really know what Loredian did either.
No, he just sussed out that he was. Okay, do we think that Loredian really was corrupted?
Who knows? I like the fact that he threw his corpse into the sun, because that made me laugh out loud.
I mean, it's a way to get it done, right? So for all of my Resident Evil fans out there, my husband and I used to have this big running gag about Wesker, because, Wesker keeps showing up in every game, and we were like, Jesus, just kill him already. And then he infects himself with the Veronica strain, and then he's going to live forever. Anyways, we were always like, they're going to have to fire him into the sun. Spoiler alerts for Resident Evil 5. You literally rocket launcher him into a volcano.
Okay, that's kind of awesome.
It was kind of awesome. I was like, oh, good. Now he's actually dead. And we started cracking up.
Was he riding a shark? Because that would have made it cooler.
No, you just rocket launcher him in there. I felt like it was some writer being like, okay, he's dead now. So when they talk about firing his corpse into the sun, I was like, take that, Wesker. One of those stupid associations in my head. Yes, I also laughed about that. But, sometimes, Carrie, it's chaos. You got to be sure.
Yeah,
you just have to be sure.
Nothing like that type of a Viking funeral. Jesus.
It's mysterious, though, and I liked the way that Darius Hinks handled it, because it's not clear. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, and then all of a sudden Nurgle just popped out of his face.
Right.
Antlers, horns, everything. It was a little bit more nebulous than that. And even at that conclave, people were like, are we sure about this? The Inquisition is so fascinating.
This was like the most Inquisition of all Inquisition books. It had all the facets of it. Like, we don't trust one another. I know better than you. I'm dabbling with the dark arts. You had it all.
Sato in particular, I feel like, so is she going to be a good Inquisitor?
I don't think she's a good one now.
Or is she going to be a good Inquisitor or a good Inquisitor?
I don't know.
I don't know either. And I'm with you that at the end I was like, what is it? What is your end game here? Kodaz is obviously, now we know what his end game is, and one of the many things probably that he has one of the many brands in the fire that he has. I don't know for her. And that's a hell of a mentor. I do like that they don't kiss and make up at the end.
Yes.
That they're kind of just like, all right.
The closest it got was when she pulled out the coin.
Yes. That was a nice little lump of sugar for her character.
Yeah.
And she pulls it out and he's just like, hey. But I like that it doesn't end up with, all right, now I'll come be your interrogator again, or I need you to mentor me again. Nope. She's kind of got her own game going on.
Well, she's already, dedicated to a different Lord Inquisitor. So she's out. She doesn't need a mentor. She's an Inquisitor. She doesn't need anybody. She just has to report to her Lord.
I feel like Sato really needs someone.
Probably. I'm just saying technically.
Technically, you're right. But I feel like personally, she probably needs a little, little tethering.
When she was even trying to turn Voltus against Kodaz. It's like, man, give this poor kid a break. He's got enough inner turmoil going on. He doesn't need you. And I was happy that he's like, you know what? You're right. I should side with you. And that, maybe he became her interrogator, because I thought that would have been weak sauce. And we don't
Agreed.
know if she meant any of it. She might not have meant any of it. She might have just been seeing so she could go to Kodaz. Like, he's not loyal.
I like that he was smart enough. I felt like all three of them felt like inquisitorial characters, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the interrogator wasn't just like, oh man, I think you're absolutely right. He was kind of like, I don't know, I have some thoughts, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe not. Sato in particular, she reminded me of yeah, I'm gonna make a couple of Dragon Age references in this podcast. Meryl.
Ew.
Yeah. She has a secret. She worships the devil. She the whole like intimately connected to the warp because she's voidborn, which I was like, is that a thing? Is that a thing?
I would imagine there'd be plenty of babies born in the warp. It just
in the void, and when they're in the warp, yeah, like she can't be the only one. Maybe they're all a little touched. Oh,
maybe the warp like stops late. You know what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And in the end, we really don't know exactly what her power was.
The other thing that was really interesting is that he mentions twice how she moves weird. Like, remember when he first meets her, he talks about how she's like moving through water. And then in that end scene, he talks about how she moves like the day that he first met her. That she doesn't quite move right, which feels like she's, as you said, she's dabbling in the dark arts.
Mm-hmm.
I think a little too much.
Like possibly more than Tersifel.
Just
a different way.
I feel like she's a really good future antagonist for a book.
I think she was kind of an antagonist for this one in a way. She was not.
But I mean, like, somebody's gonna have to go deal with her.
Yeah, let's go deal with an Inquisitor. Let's have Robbie Bobby go find her. I'm actually wondering.
I'm thinking Greyfax.
Oh, that'd be fun. That would be fun.
There'd be no chill.
I'm actually waiting for Kodaz to team up with Covenant at some conclaves. Like, we're doing like the same work. Like,
okay,
we're hunting down this stuff.
That dovetails nicely into my next question because I have a quip to make about this. But did you like Kodaz's retinue? Do we really get to know them? Did any of them stand out to you?
I did like I liked Tersifel. I liked Malevich a lot.
I loved Malevich.
And of course, seriously, the narrator, the accent he gave him, and narrator was fantastic. How he differentiated the voices. I thought was just stellar. And I liked Sixtus as much as you can like basically a sentient cogitator. I also liked, oh gosh, I wrote down his name. And I don't remember how to pronounce it. What's his name? Korov.
Oh, the general.
Yeah.
The I don't know that you can call him a general anymore.
No, but I just like the fact that he like sets everything on fire while yelling recant.
Pretty good. He's literally fire and brimstone. I loved Malevich. God, I want to see more of Malevich. I felt as though reading this book, one of the comments that you and I have made a few times is that when is John French going to finish the Covenant series? I feel as though Darius Hinks was also like, when is he going to finish the Covenant series? You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to write my own Covenant series. Some of his retinue felt a little reminiscent of the Covenant retinue, with some other retinues expressed in there as well. But Kodaz really did feel one of the things that I like about the Covenant series that I always really enjoyed was that Covenant was very unknowable to his retinue, right? His retinue was very personable and they all kind of hung out and talked and everything. But Covenant was very unknowable.
Well, I mean,
I got that same impression from Kodaz. He was
Like,
very unknown to his retinue.
the difference, though, is that in John French's Covenant books, we never got anything from Covenant's point of view.
True, we did get some from Kodaz.
And this we got from Kodaz's point of view.
And he is an unyielding little man.
Man, the hourglass thing, like, that's kind of awesome.
Okay, that hourglass thing, I was like, God damn, that's clever.
I would have done that with my kids, man. It's hourglass.
And they just slowly but surely start squirming in their seats. And you're like, keep telling me about this thing. Keep telling me that you don't know why that homework assignment is marked as missing, even though you know you turned it in. That would be kind of a lame use of it, but also a really fun use of it. But I liked the idea that the retinue was, God, they were all very, first off, props. They were all very competent.
I loved when when Voltus was like, why does he even have Koroth? He's just a simpleton. She's like, do you really think Kodaz employs simpletons?
I liked, going back to your comparison to Carl, Voltus had just this very strong sense of arrogance to him. He's just better than everyone else, right? The guy who seems simple, he must just be it's basically like having an ogre. Like, this is
right.
No, it's a little bit more messed up than that, my friend. I really liked Malevich. I want an entire short story about Malevich. We complain a lot about the Covenant short story book that we have instead of an actual another Covenant book, but I would read an entire book just about Malevich.
Okay, that is true.
Yeah, he was just like this highly competent swashbucklery.
Yeah,
I was a little like sad when he talks about how he kind of recognizes. He gets like a sense of recognition, where he's like, "Oh, this all seems familiar. Oh yeah, no, it's probably because I've been mind wiped." Anyways, moving on with my life.
Right. That was like, oh, that's a little haunting. That makes me sad for him. But he's like, whatever. It's just part of the job. It's all good.
It reminded me of one of my favorite parts of that book, Mark of Faith.
Oh, I was actually just thinking that no matter how many times she mind wiped them, they always found their way back to each other.
Those two always found each other again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Serving life is like an Inquisitor's lackey. It ain't easy.
No.
Like, you could get an absolute heretic like Eisenhorn. You could get a head case like Ravener. You could get somebody as unyielding as Covenant or Kodaz.
Head case.
Or I can't even talk about what was going on with the guys in Vaults of Terra. Like,
Erasmus Krall.
You could get Krall's group. Like, whew, Krall is super political. Let's put it.
Well,
it's just
I mean,
a bit mixed bag there.
Ordo Hereticus. So yeah, I think that comes with the territory.
It's kind of the truth, huh? Yeah, I guess maybe Ordo Xenos would probably be the better one to be on there. Sato's blades would fit in there. Just saying.
She's like, you would have burned these. Yeah.
Totally would have. Do you know who else would burn them?
Robbie Bobby.
Bob.
We don't disagree with the Bob.
We do not disagree with Robert Q. Gulliman. Poor Elias.
Man. Again, another example of the Imperium creating their own demons, literally. Like, just
thing about his story that made me sad. So first off, here's the thing I have to say. Darius Hinks, he's thinking about a book, right? And he's like, where am I going to set this book? Oh God, I loved that movie, Crimson Peak. In fact, you know what? I think it's an underrated masterpiece. I'm setting it on Crimson Peak. But that's not really like frightening enough for Warhammer. Oh my God. Do you remember the Red Lyrium from Dragon Age? What if it was Crimson Peak with the Red Lyrium? Friends.
I felt bad for them with the crystals growing on their bodies.
Picking it off of them. That part I was like, ah ha ha ha. All I could think about is if you've ever broken a glass and like you step on broken glass and you're just like, great, now I have a chunk of glass in my foot. I did like that Kodaz's first reaction was like, and they're like, no, it's not mutation. See? We can pick it off. I I think that makes it worse, my friends. But anyways, yes, you're correct about Elias. The thing that made me so sad about this world is when he finds the guns. And they're like, why are there so many guns in here? Just
the waste with the munitions. Just the waste.
Well, there was a requisition and it was never marked as filled. So they just kept filling the requisition. The absolute waste. Meanwhile, there is probably some poor battalion, some group of people on the other side of the galaxy who are like, yeah, we're running out of las packs. What do you mean we can't get our requisition filled? Meanwhile, stockpile that falls
on
to
some
Nurgle.
Random mining planet that probably won't exist in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now it won't, because now it's going to be exterminatist.
Fortunately, once you get Nurgle, you have to just dig that particular cancer out.
By fire.
By, yeah, a literal virus bombing just to get rid of it. Render it uninhabitable, because that's not a good one. Just saying. But poor Elias. He was perfect.
But he ended up being
perfect.
The real hero of the story in the end.
Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely loved it.
I love when he like picks up the sword and he starts walking with it, right? And he's just like, yep, nope, I'm killing this thing, because he recognizes what has happened and repents. So somewhere in there was still something loyal.
Yes. But again, it was one of those, he knows not what he does,
And he was the perfect breeding ground.
Oh, yeah.
For a Nurgle demon.
Because he wanted something to live. That's all it takes. He
wanted something to live, and he wanted a better life.
What food do you think they were feeding people?
Oh, God.
Thinking about it.
Oh, that's okay.
That just
when they talk about
now.
The banquet and how everyone, look at all this food we have. I was like, oh, God, it's probably like the same rations that have been sitting there for like 200.
Well, that's what I thought. No, but now knowing about Nurgling, I'm like, I feel like that was Nurgle food.
Oh yeah, it was either just rancid food or it was Nurgle food, and that's no, that's all I could think of. I was actually a little bit relieved that they didn't reveal that, because I was like, oh, because he was doing such a good job with all the disgusting descriptions and like the blah of Nurgle. That yeah, I had the exact same thought at one point where I was just like, oh no. Are they eating dead miners? Are they eating Nurgles? Is this rotten food? Are they going to talk about them like eating cans of I can't handle this. We were spared. We were spared. We were spared. But don't worry, Mr. Hinks. The imagination did the rest of the work for you.
I imagine him, if he listens to this, he'll just be going, excellent.
Excellent. Like, it was probably growing on the trees, like plague apples that are fleshy and explode when they hit the ground. Anyways, it's like water balloons.
Well, see, now you're making me think of the whales.
Yes. Yes. So gross.
There's a callback there.
Yeah, there was a callback. Poor Elias. The scene, you referenced this earlier, but the scene in the end when he just realizes what the garden actually is, and he sees his love has been dead, when he's like, for days, possibly weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, and his friends are dead, and so terrible. So terrible. And it's to your point about the Imperium, and I'm not saying that like, look, there's miserable people everywhere, right? But it's just perfect for Nurgle. Like, oh, you're so miserable.
You just want to live.
You just want to live. And guess what? I can give you a garden.
My grandfather loves you.
He doesn't really.
I mean, grandfather loves you and wants you to be happy, unlike the corpse emperor.
You know what? It's true. And we will give you hedges. We talked about having the hedges. I was like, oh god, it's probably stacked up bodies like cordons. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, it's so nasty. All right, let's talk about the McGuffin. Did we like the soul glass as a McGuffin?
Well, we have no idea if it actually worked. So who knows?
Valid.
It could have just been glass in a pretty box.
It honestly could have been. One of the things that I thought about was the glass from Silent Hunters.
Oh, okay. That looking glass.
Yeah,
orb,
which I was.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, ooh, is it kind of like that? Like, what is this? Does it make sense as like when you think about the MacGuffin? Does it make sense? Does it make sense why a Mechanicus is Tech Priest is looking for it? Why Kodaz would be looking for it allegedly, as Voltas assumes? Why Voltas is so intrigued? Why Sato? Like, is it an effective driving?
I
point?
think so. Who wouldn't want to live forever?
True. Just hopping from body to body. Is Kodaz right about the soul glass?
To destroy it? 100%. Because let's say they do take it to the Emperor to bring him back. Then what?
What if it doesn't work?
Yeah, what if it doesn't work? What if but if it does work, someone takes it. I mean, you can't have something like that out there in the wild.
Yeah, it is just a little too dangerous. And I liked when Sato kind of pieces it together and she's like, oh my God, holy war. Like,
oh yeah,
this would be a civil war like we had never seen before.
Yeah, because you'd have different factions of the Inquisition wanting to use it for their own different reasons.
Well, you'd have ones who want to destroy it. You'd have ones that would want to use it very selfishly. Ones who would want to try it on the Emperor. We don't know if it would work or not, right? There's so many different pieces there. I do find it amusing that Kodaz decides that he alone should make that decision and just destroy it. I don't need to run this through a committee.
Well, again, but he knows the Inquisitors, right?
True. And honestly, I think he's right. I think he was right to destroy it.
I think the problem with Kodaz is that he's right about he's right about a lot of things. That's the problem. Is that he is right about most things.
True. That was my one moment where I really enjoyed Sato's character, by the way.
He's like I said, sorry to interrupt you, but like
no, you're good.
Like I said earlier, he's the lion. He's right. And you all have to accept it.
Yeah, you just have to accept it that he is right.
And the the sad because making me think of a movie quote. It's like, sad thing is he's always right. Well, it's just Kodaz is right. I did get a little nervous with him though when he was talking about smashing demons, with the Daemonhammer, and he's like he could hear the Emperor's voice. Dude, I was like, is that the Emperor's voice?
Yeah, I had the same thought, by the way.
Is that something else? Because
hearing voices.
That demon told Elias that he had called him here. Well, how did he do that?
I had a very similar thought. Now, it's possible that he
got
peppered something into the ether. Right. Well, it could have been that he peppered something in the ether, like he told his agent on the planet, right? Or he told somebody who then drew that agent in. And so it could have been Nurgle plays, all of the Chaos Gods kind of play well, actually not really Khorne so much, but or Slaanesh, really just the ancient Nurgle, play the long game, right? Where they can say I've just planted a seed. We'll just watch where this goes. So
it could have been,
he could have done that 30, 40 years ago.
It could have been something with Loredian, honestly. And that's what planted
it could have been. It could have been something with the Mechanicus. He could have done all kinds of things of just come here to this, right? He's got nothing but time to get him to come get the soul glass. I did like that even the demon didn't really seem to know what he was going to do with it when he's just like, it's going to be useless to you. You're coming to me eventually anyways. Run through as many bodies as you want. It doesn't matter. I don't even think that he saw him destroying it. But I also had that thought with the hammer. Or is it just like his own feeling? Like, is he so wrapped up in the Holy Spirit that he's like, yes, I hear him talking to me? No, you're just hearing like your own.
It could be. I hope it is, because I don't
Same.
I don't want this guy to, I don't know, like it's a common trope in Warhammer 40k, because there's a reason for it, that, you know, we hear the voice of the Emperor, or like with the Adepts, it's the Omnissiah talking to me. And it turns out to be a demon. I wouldn't want that to happen with this guy. We see it happen way too much as it is.
We do. But it's the old Eisenhorn argument. Right? Or it's not that they actually made this argument. It's actually the argument from the Dark Knight. But we see it with Eisenhorn, right? With the Inquisitors. You either die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. Like, we see that with Inquisitors often in this universe, right? Because they know so much and they see so much and they get so much power and influence that, like, is Kodaz, is he eventually, does he know that, like, is eventually he's just like, yep, someday I'm gonna make a misstep, I'm gonna trust the wrong person, and my mentor will be right there to kill me? Maybe he does, I don't know. It's a thing that I always enjoy about the 40k universe, is this idea that, oh yeah, the Inquisitors, it's not all fun and games. That that really good Warhammer Plus animation Interrogator, similar concept,
right?
Of just, yeah, you just go a little too far out on your skis as an Inquisitor.
I feel like most of them do that anyway.
I feel like it does. I think he's right.
Oh my God, what's her name? Caiaphas Cain.
Oh, Amberly Vale.
Amberly Vale.
Inquisitor Vale. Not to be mistaken with Vicky Vale. Or maybe yes.
Ew, no. Because now you're going to make me think of Kim Basinger, and that does not make me happy.
Young Basinger, though. I mean, I would like to imagine Caiaphas Cain supposed to be a good-looking dude. Him and Kim Basinger in some 1980s movie poster.
Never was a fan of Kim Basinger.
I'm kind of meh on her. Love her in LA Confidential. Everything else, I'm kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, except for the cinematic masterpiece, My Stepmother is an Alien. Anyways.
Oh my God, I forgot she was in that.
Oh yeah, as is a very young Allison Hannigan, as is Dan Aykroyd and John Lovitz. And it's not an SNL movie.
Wow.
The eye and the purse. Anyways.
I barely remember that movie, but
I am
I might be confusing it with Earth Girls Are Easy, now that I think about it.
Oh God, that's another wonderful movie. With Julie Brown, Gina Davis. No.
Yes.
That movie. Okay. Now we're going to have to fight because that movie is so comical. I'm not saying it's a great movie, but it's a great movie because it's funny and ridiculous. It's so over the top. And it has my favorite Julie Brown song with the I'm a Blonde. When she's doing the thing where she's just like, I really want to be a veterinarian because I just love children. Oh my gosh, y'all. 80s masterpieces. Well, not masterpieces, but definitely cult classics.
Yeah, I was going to say cult classics of the 80s.
No, my Stepmother is an Alien has like the penis looking eyeball that like it's like an L shape that comes out of her purse and it glows and it moves stuff. Anyways. Whew. The 80s were a dark time for movies. But also wonderful. I'm going to make my daughter watch these with me. Anyways, here's the big question. Do you want another Kodaz book?
I do. Oh yeah, I'm down.
Even though I was kind of mid on
Let's see which interrogator he screws up next.
Oh my God. Just like, it's like Kleenex. He just constantly has a new interrogator. That would actually be a really funny gag. where he's just like, I just can't keep interrogators. It's like the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor. So there's just a new one. Every book, there's a new one. And then we end with another new one. So I really enjoyed Darius Hinks's Blackstone Fortress series, and I think he kind of wrote himself into a corner with the last one. With him getting, anyways, if you've read the book, you know what the gesture that I'm making here. But I would really like I was mid on this book, but I want to see another one because I like Darius Hinks and I would like to see him have like a good long running series. So I would be here for a Kodaz a second.
I like his Mephiston trilogy a lot. So
I didn't read those ones because Eurotrash space vampires.
Right. I don't expect you to.
You're a true friend.
I've been doing that on my own. I need to finish the third one though. My God, it's been sitting on my shelf for like 2 years at least. I just haven't gotten around to doing it.
The Blackstone Fortress books were on my shelf for like 3 years. And then I just sat down and read them and do not at all. The second one was a little bit better than the first one. So I'm like, hey, if he does another Kodaz book, I think you and I have talked about this before. We're kind of missing like a good Inquisitor series. Vaults of Terra was excellent, but it's wrapped up now.
Yep.
Covenant,
and
that was really
we liked Covenant, but where's the next book, my guy? Stop writing about Ahriman and go back to Covenant.
For the love of God, please desist. Step away. Asking for a friend. I feel like that's one of the things, like we have really great Imperial Guard books that come out. We have really great Bolterborn. We have good, like all of this stuff is moving along, but I feel like we just need another like, oh, we're waiting for the next book in this series. I feel like I'm
yeah.
I need that. Other than my Watchers of the Throne 3, which I'm patiently waiting
but that's
on.
not Inquisitor book.
It's not an Inquisitor book. Vaults of Terra was even kind of barely an Inquisitor book because Crowell oddly was a minor character in his own series. As the series went on, he was less of a character.
Well,
it was fine. I loved him.
The interrogator became more important.
But yeah, because she was a badass.
Yes, she was.
But we are now moving away from the Inquisition into dwarves in space. And I forgot
dwarves.
I forgot to buy the book. I'm still just flabbergasted that I didn't purchase it. Like, how did I not purchase this book? But anyways, digitally.
Dwarves in space.
Dwarves in space.
What's kind of funny is like even the colors and the style, they're kind of very similar.
It is I bet if you were to go through and grab a lot of like the books, there's probably really 3 covers. Raising something above the head, looking menacing, looking off to the side. Like I feel like there's probably only really 3 covers. Caiaphas Cain is a different breed.
Yeah, because he's got that jawline, man.
Yeah. Or I guess maybe 4 covers because there is always just the noble countenance. That's one we see a lot too. I'm thinking of like Blackstone Fortress and the Eisenhorn series, and you get lots of noble countenance looking off into the side like you're in an 80s Olin Mills portrait studio.
My God.
Just all deep cut 80s tonight. That's all we got tonight for people. But yes, Gav Thorpe. I'm excited to read about the dwarves. They introduced the Leagues of Otan. We saw the couple of them, or just the one actually in the Dawn of Fire series, which not the best entrance.
Nope.
I'm excited to finally see a book about them. There's been a lot of stuff that's been introduced in the tabletop that I feel like we're kind of sitting over here like, are we gonna talk about that in the books?
Eventually. That's always the answer.
It's eventually, yes. So I'm excited. It's been a spell since we read a Gav Thorpe book.
Yeah, not since was it Indominus?
No.
Well, okay, so we did read The Purging of Catalyst, but that to me doesn't count.
No, I agree with you that that doesn't count. Where is the? Oh my goodness. So purging of Cavalot. Oh my gosh. The Wolf Time. That was the last Gav Thorpe book that we read. New Gav Thorpe book.
Huh, I thought Indomitus came after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Indomitus comes. We read Indomitus in August of 2020. Wolf
Jeez.
Time we read in January 7th, January of 2022.
God. Okay.
Yeah, which is. Oh, actually, you know what? Might have been come after that one, but it wouldn't be on the site. Would be Luther, mayhaps. Luther might have been.
Maybe.
Yeah. But it's been a spell.
It has been a spell.
So cool. Leagues of Votan. Why not? I feel like when you need to introduce somebody, like a group or something, into the lore, like what they did with the Indomitus, where they're like, okay, let's start off the Indomitus. Like Gav Thorpe, he's one of the lore guys. So it's a good way to go.
I just hope it's not like Indominus where it reads like a toy, the model catalog.
That one was.
Like, and I can't fault him for that because I'm pretty sure he was told.
I feel like he had a checklist
Yes, he
that he had to go down.
They had to have, yeah.
I agree with that statement. And then the Wolf Time, I'm still grumpy about, but that's really just, I mean, he was fighting an uphill battle with being a Dawn of Fire book. Like, whew, it was going to have to be something special. Because, yeah, Purging of Catalyst we read because we were going into the Wayback Machine, and that was last summer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about time.
Yeah, about time we got a new Gav Thorpe
There's
book.
actually a few people from whomst we have not heard in a spell.
Like, well, I would say Guy Haley, but he still does Dawn of Fire, but that doesn't count.
Guy Haley, Gene Father, we read November of last year.
Okay.
In 2020, sorry, no, we read in November of 2023.
Okay.
That is no longer. Throne of Light was in 2022.
Is he writing the last book of Dawn of Fire?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. I don't know yet because we don't have they don't. They're so terrible about announcing their next books. So yeah, that's been a spell. And then my boy Chris Wright.
We haven't had anything from him in a long time.
Well, that's not true. That was actually 1 year ago. Sea of Souls.
Again, Dawn of Fire. I'm not
doesn't
counting
count. Yeah, that's valid and fair. If we go back to his actual last, oh my God, the Dark City was August of 2022.
Yeah, because I know that they reprinted War of the Fang, but that doesn't count.
Hellwinter Gate was 2021.
Yeah.
When was my second Giant Soulless Babies then? Oh, by the way, just for people playing at home, his Warhammer crime novel was 2020.
Oh, dang. Bloodlines. That was so good.
The book that had us wondering why he couldn't just be decent and have an affair on his wife.
Yes.
Like a decent person.
Yeah.
Watchers of the Two Throne 2 Electric Boogaloo was 2020.
Wow.
We're in a time warp ever since COVID. Anyways, Carrie.
Is very true. I mean, but ADB hasn't written a book since the Siege of Terra. So.
Well, that Siege of Terra book was like the first one in a longer while.
Yeah. Not since Spear of the Emperor.
That can't be right.
It is right.
Oh my God. I'm sure everybody's thrilled with us trying to figure out when the last new books we read was. I'm going through. Oh my gosh, yeah, because we read a whole bunch of like way back stuff for him as well. Oh my God. Yeah, I think you're right. Oh my goodness. Now I'm like gonna have a conniption. 2019.
Okay. So anyway.
Okay.
So you
want to take us out, Carrie?
I am right now, so you don't look up anything else. So you've listened to the Warhammer 40k book club episode regarding Daemonhammer by Darius Hinks. Be sure to join us next time for the High Calls Oath by Gav Thorpe. We are an unofficial book club and not affiliated with the Black Library or any of its affiliates. You can find both the vidcast and podcast on our website, WH40kbookclub.com. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, give a review, and all those wonderful things to the vidcast on YouTube or Spotify or the podcast anywhere you get podcasts. And come join our Discord. It's been kind of quiet because holidays, but we have fun discussions there most of the time. People often share what they're painting. It's really, really neat. Our site also has articles about adventures and reading other Warhammer 40k books and short stories outside the book club books, so please stay well and read from McCrag. And happy 2025, everybody.
I don't know that I can call it happy because 1990 was 25 years ago. I will not be taking questions.
Don't at her, folks. She won't answer.
I will not. I will not. Good night, everybody.
Good night.